Good. Okay. part of working in a newsroom, people shouting all over the place. That's what I live for. All right, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Crystal Holloman, a digital reporter here at News 10, joined by Tim Staudt from News 10 Sports. I just saw you yesterday as we had the breaking news.
Break for you.
I know, right? I was so excited.
You get the weekend, too.
I know. But we talked a little bit about what we knew as of yesterday afternoon. Now I want to take a look at what we're going to be looking forward to. Normally on Mondays we hear from Mel Tucker with his press conference.
Well, he's free to call in here anytime and give us the latest scoop. I mean, if he'd like to. I don't know where he is, but he's a hot topic.
He is. We're going to talk a little bit about who's going to be leading the team, because they do still have a season to focus on. The football team still has a season, an undefeated season to focus on, and who is going to be leading these players as of this weekend against...
You mean amongst the players? Well,
no, the coaches.
Well, Harlan Barnett's the interim coach. Mark D'Antonio, if you've ever heard of him.
I have.
I don't know exactly what he's going to do. I don't think it's going to be as much in a X's and O's call the plays role. My guess is he'll be more helpful at calming these players down, putting them in the right mindset, because they know he has credibility because he'd been at Michigan State before. I don't see him involved with all the game planning or anything like that. That's Tucker's staff. It's not D'Antonio's staff. I mean, I think he's there in an advice. You know, he got out of this because he was tired of it. I mean, so for him to want to get back on all this.
Well, Barnett has 21 years of coaching experience, with 15 of those at MSU. Did he coach alongside D'Antonio then?
He did for a short period of time, but he was the offensive. He's been around. I mean, he played in the NFL 7 years. He played on State's Rose Bowl team in '87. He was a defensive back. He's a secondary coach now, but he's bounced around a bit since then. He was the defensive coordinator at Florida State for a couple of years, but then that staff got let go, and Tucker brought him back as a secondary coach in Michigan State. I think he's getting this post simply because he's been around the Michigan State program. He's been around the players. Look, they're trying to get through. You know, they got a long way to go. Like you say, they got 10 games left. That's a long time, and over 11 weeks, because they got a bye week. The bye week's when we're going to get the hearing, and that could be more interesting than the games themselves. You never know.
It is. So you think
he won't be smiling when he's been that thing too much longer.
But you think he's going to be more of a calming presence and
he's
for D'Antonio?
He's just a calming presence. I mean, he doesn't. He'll do that a lot.
Okay.
That's what he's going to do a lot. Okay, play. You ready? All right, have a good game. One of those deals.
Right. So, anything else that you think is going to change coaching-wise? Like, how do they address those players?
The caliber of teams are going to play from here on out is going to ratchet up tremendously, because they're going from Richmond to the 8th-ranked team in the country, and Washington might be even better than that. I mean, I've seen, last year State had 8 guys suspended after Michigan, and they went to Illinois and won down there, which was amazing. So to say that they can't compete with Washington, I don't think is truly fair till you see it. But this is going to be somewhat of a soap opera the rest of the way, because you're going to see something develop constantly that's different. It's the big-time football here. There's a lot of exposure to it, even when everything else is normal, just reporting the games themselves. So we'll see. And it's a different world out there with a portal and name, image, and likeness. And, a lot of these players, if they don't play more than 4 games, they can use that as a redshirt year, and you wonder, after 2 more games, will they lose any players to the portal who want to save that redshirt year and just throw up their hands and go elsewhere? Stay tuned.
That'll be interesting. We do have a lot of reporters working on this today from all different angles across Michigan State, so we're going to have more on that coming up. You're actually going to be on our screens a little early at 5 o'clock. Correct?
Well, who knows that? I mean, the hot change today was the name of the coaches.
I do have that. Yeah, the new radio show name.
There's no longer the Mel Tucker show. It has been changed officially, and it came from Michigan State. It's not like somebody heard it through the grapevine. It is now going to be known as the MSU Football Coaches Radio Show.
Is that permanent, or is that just for now?
I guess for the rest of the season, 7 to 8 p.m. Thursdays.
All right.
With whoever's in there. I mean, I would, they're just calling it MSU Football Coaches Radio Show.
They might want to keep it that way for a little
How
while.
many, those shows used to have huge crowds every Thursday night in the season and all that. Whether that's going to be the norm, and out of curiosity, this one might have a decent crowd.
I think so.
Just on the curiosity factor. Let me tell you, it's a hot topic around town, as you know. Was yesterday too. I mean,
around town, around the state.
Oh, it can't. My phone, it's too hot. I mean, it's just burning with that thing going on.
Might want to take the case off. Let it breathe a little bit.
Well, if I do that, it'll melt. Me with.
I mean, this is a topic. This was on CNN this morning. This was on.
It's going to keep going.
So Rebecca wants to know: will Coach D remain through the next 10 games? Do we know?
Probably.
Nothing's for sure with that yet. It's just for the suspension.
He got out of the job because of his. I mean, he was old enough. I mean, he did. What's a rat race? He didn't want to. He said he's burned out. Now he's hung around and gone a few practices. Hangs around at the game some with his hands in his pocket and all that. So they come. I mean, believe me, he's coming back in. There isn't going to be any pressure on him. He's just coming. He's, what do you need me to do? Oh, you want me to go talk to this guy and cheer him up? Okay, I'll do that. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be in there plotting game plans to see how we can beat Michigan.
That's mostly going to be Barnett, and he has worked with Tucker for Tucker's entire tenure.
Staff.
Yeah,
it's Mel's staff. I mean, Barnett's not a coordinator. He's getting this because he's been around. He's just more in tune with all this. And if you put one coordinator in charge, then the other guy's mad. So if you don't put either of them in there, they got something they can combine out, and both of them are mad.
Well, and they only had so many days to figure this out, too, by the way.
Well, their schedule is going to be, the days of Central Michigan and Richmond are long gone. Long gone.
But you do have some good news out of MSU from the football team, Noah Kim.
He's a Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week. Now, if he can get it again next week after Washington, you got something. If you get it against Richmond, chances are you didn't have to be the Player of the Week and they were still going to beat Richmond. Good for him. He was 18 out of 22. I think he could have thrown a couple of those passes to you and you would have soared into the end zone. Soared.
I am pretty good at that.
But for that matter, you might have been able to start for Richmond on either side of the ball.
I don't know if that says something bad about me.
No.
Or
it says you're a better athlete than what they have. I mean, that game should never have been played, should never have been scheduled. It was just a festival over there to enjoy the campus on a nice day, have a little demonstration of football, and everybody can go home. And then, the headlines of the weekend occurred overnight.
Exactly. All right, so we will see you at 5 o'clock.
All right.
And we will have more team coverage throughout the night on News 10, on air, online, and on all of our streaming platforms. Thanks for tuning in.